Enchantée.
You're listening to the What the Fab podcast, where empowered women empower women through candid conversations, inspiring stories, and tangible tips. I'm your host, Elise Armitage. I'm a digital creator, and I left my 9-to-5 job at Google to chase my dreams of being an entrepreneur. I'm so happy to have you here. Let's get into some real talk. Hello and welcome back to the What the Fab podcast. First, I just want to say thank you guys so much for all of your feedback, your DMs, sharing this new podcast on your stories. It has meant the world to me, and I just want to give a shout out to one of my first reviews on Apple Podcasts that just made me so happy. Okay, so this is from user SRM724, and she says, "Love Elise and what she has to offer. It's great to see amazing women who are so motivated to empower other amazing women. I have really enjoyed the content so far, and I want to note my appreciation for how she incorporates important issues women need to be talking about alongside practical lifestyle content. She isn't afraid to go there with the tough issues, and I am so looking forward to listening to more episodes." I am literally about to cry. Like, that makes me so happy. It just fills me up. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And my main goal with this podcast is just to keep providing value and for it to be a mix of, the light lifestyle content, but also really tangible, valuable tips and conversations. So I just really appreciate that is showing through in my first few episodes. And if you guys haven't taken a second to leave a review, I really appreciate it if you could, because that is what will help this new podcast grow. So today's episode is all about my morning routine. It's something that I've been receiving some questions on, so I'm going to give you a play-by-play of what that looks like. And I personally love hearing other people's morning routines because I always come away with something that I'm like, ooh, I want to try that. Like, some people are really into doing a cold shower in the morning. I've definitely tried it, and I could see myself working that into my morning routine. I'm not there yet, but I just love getting little bits and pieces from other people, especially reading about what other entrepreneurs or successful people do to start their day. I just think that having a morning routine is so important because it really helps set the tone for your day, set the intention, and the rest of your day kind of flows from there. I will say that I only started having some semblance of a morning routine when I started working for myself 2 years ago. Before, when I worked at a company, honestly, I'm not a morning person, and so I would just hit the snooze button until the very last minute and then just rush to get ready and run out the door and hop on BART. And let me tell you, that is not the way to start your day. Now that I have experienced actually having some sort of productive morning routine that sets me up in a great way, I far prefer this. So I'm going to get into it. I'll give you the play-by-play, and also know that your morning routine can change. It can adapt with you. Mine certainly has. I've evolved different parts of it and incorporated and tried different things. So just give it a listen and see what you want to pull from it and try with your own personal morning routine, and, give it a try for a few weeks at a time. And you'll find that some parts you might love and some parts you might discard, and that is completely okay. But having some kind of routine that is habitual, it really changes the way that you kick off your day. I will also say I'm not a mom. I don't have kids, and I completely acknowledge that if you have a baby that you are taking care of, if you have little ones, you might not be able to have this whole half hour to an hour long morning routine, but there might be some little rituals that you can incorporate into 5 minutes for yourself, and I would really encourage you to seek those out and see what you can make happen for yourself. Okay, so here is my current perfect morning routine. So as I mentioned, I'm not a morning person. I've really been working on trying to not habitually hit that snooze button. So what I do, and this is kind of a twofold thing, but I place my phone on my dresser on the opposite side of the room. The reason this is great for two reasons is, first of all, it stops me from mindlessly scrolling on my phone at night. If you haven't listened to my episode about habits, definitely check that out. It's episode 5, and this was one of my tips for breaking a habit, was to make it difficult or to increase the friction for it. So I've broken that bad habit of scrolling in bed by placing my phone on the opposite side of the room. The other thing that I do is I set my alarm, and when it goes off, I have to physically get out of bed to go and turn it off. It's only like 5 steps away, but just getting myself out of bed has made it so much easier for me to wake up and get going instead of just continuously hitting that snooze button on my nightstand next to me. So I do that. And again, because I'm not a morning person, I also use a daylight alarm. I will link to that in the show notes, which you can find at whatthefab.com/morning. And the daylight alarm is super cool because over like 20 or 30 minutes, as it gets closer to the time that you set your alarm for, it starts emitting light. And so that's kind of a gentle way to wake yourself up. So I really like that. This episode is brought to you by Flowdesk. Flowdesk is an incredible email marketing service provider, and they are the platform that I use for my email campaigns for What the Fab. The platform is so intuitive and easy to use. It's very drag and drop. And best of all, it's aesthetic AF. The templates are beautiful, and you can easily add your own brand colors to it to make sure that your emails look and feel like you. I used to use MailChimp back in the day, but after trying Flowdesk out about a year ago, I was in love, and I know you will be too. You can give Flowdesk a try for 30 days free, and if you want to keep them, which I know you will, you can use my referral link to lock in a 50% off price at $19 a month and lock that in forever. You can get this offer and try it for free at whatthefab.com/Flowdesk, and that is spelled FLODESK. That's whatthefab.com/Flowdesk. I can't wait to see what stunning emails you create. Okay, let's get back to the episode. So first thing I do, brush my teeth, wash my face, do my morning skincare. That could honestly be a whole other episode, which I will definitely do because I've gotten some requests for an episode on skincare. So I do my morning skincare. One thing that I really, really enjoy that's part of that is I do my NuFace. If you haven't checked out NuFace, oh my gosh, I will also link to it in the show notes. But it is basically this like electric microcurrent tool, facial tool that you glide over your face, and it just helps like sculpt and lift your cheeks. And I like to do it in the morning because then I enjoy the benefits of it all day long with this more kind of like lifted and slimmer face. So I do that, and that takes about 5 minutes. And while I'm doing that, I listen to some of my favorite inspiring podcasts. I tend to gravitate towards other female podcasters. I've tried listening to I love the book Daily Stoic, which we'll talk about because it's one of my morning habits, but I tried listening to Ryan Holiday's podcast, Daily Stoic podcast, in the mornings, and I was just like, you know what? I am just not about this white male energy. I'm sure he's a really nice guy, but that just wasn't the energy that I was jiving with and looking for as I kick off my day. So keep that in mind too, but I highly recommend finding an inspiring podcast that you can listen to in the mornings, but definitely just kind of keep in mind what energy you want to start your day with. For me, it's listening to other female entrepreneurs. So I do that for 5 minutes while I'm doing my NuFace. I do my Equilibria CBD. You guys know I love Equilibria, and their CBD has seriously changed my life. I do half a drop in the morning, half in the afternoon, and it just helps even me out, levels me out. I'm able to take on life's daily stressors and surprises in such a more even-keeled way. So I do that. I change into some other outfit other than my PJs. Even during the panty, I have really been making an effort to, even if it's just changing into a cute athleisure outfit, something comfortable, just get out of those pajamas. It really puts me in a better headspace for the day. So then I head downstairs, I make my morning coffee. While my coffee is brewing, I drink a giant cup of cold water because if you just think about it, for the last 8 hours or so that you've been sleeping, you have been totally dehydrated. You haven't been drinking any water. So it honestly feels great to just drink a giant cup of water. I do this really specific style of pour over coffee. It's called Choreador. And it was something that I learned when I was in Costa Rica, and we did a coffee tasting class. And it is the best. Like, it's so much better than the Chemex or French press or anything. Like, it just makes your coffee so smooth and flavorful without the bitterness. So I will link to some examples of what I use for this Chorador style coffee, but it's delicious. And so while I am pouring the water over that, I use my Theragun to kind of wake up my body, like especially my hamstrings and quadriceps and lower back. I tend to get a lot of tightness in my lower back, especially because I do high intensity interval training and I just have lower back issues. So by doing this every morning, it is incredible. If you guys have any kind of lower back issues, I cannot sing the praises of Theragun enough. I have the mini, so it's like the least expensive one, and it works just as well as the regular sized one, and it has helped my lower back issues so much. So I make sure that I do that while I'm pouring my water over my coffee. I also pop my Ritual vitamins. I know I'm mentioning a lot of brands, but these really are just part of my morning routine and my morning rituals. So you can know that this is what I'm doing every single day. So I obviously stand by them. So then I've got my coffee made, and I like to add nut pods to it. It's like this almond and coconut creamer. It doesn't have any added sugar. I do intermittent fasting sometimes so it doesn't break my fast, and you can froth it up with a frother, or I use my NutriBullet. So my morning coffee is made, then I head over to the couch and I read a page out of the Daily Stoic that I mentioned earlier. So the Daily Stoic book is really cool because it's just one page a day, and it covers all of these different Stoicism beliefs and like wisdoms on how to live a better life. And it's all quotes and then readings that are based on the ancient Stoics. It really has changed my perspective, especially during the pandemic, for the better. I wouldn't say that I necessarily agree with the lessons or the teachings in every single page, but I always take something away from it. And it really does help set my mind and my intentions for the day. So I read whatever that day's Daily Stoic page is. I might jot down a few notes in the book as well. And then I do my own morning pages or journaling. I never thought that I would be into journaling. The only reason I started doing it was when I was getting ready to leave my job at Google and to work for myself full time, because I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, I've had this like kind of structure and routine for so many years, and now it's going to be completely done away with, and I can set up my day however I feel like. But that freedom is also a bit overwhelming because I'm like, how do I know what I want to do? How do I know what I want my day to look like? So I started journaling, and I really was not into the idea of it at first. I've never been into journaling. I thought it just would not be something that I enjoyed, but it's been 2 years now, and I do it every single day. I mean, if I'm traveling, I don't do it as much, but obviously during the panty, I've been home every day. So it's been a really powerful tool. So I journal, and, sometimes it's just a paragraph. Sometimes it's a few pages. I don't force it. I just write about whatever I feel like, whatever's on my heart. It could be hopes and dreams. It could be goals for that day. It could be something I'm upset about, a decision I'm wrestling with. It's really whatever I feel like. And I really enjoy those 5 to 10 minutes of journaling. Next, I get into writing out the tasks and important things that I need to get done that day. I use a journal calendar planner called Golden Coil. It's so freaking cool because it is completely customizable, and you can go through when you're making it and you can change the layouts for things. You can add different planner templates to it. So like I have one at the beginning of each week for meal planning. I have one for my fitness, my water intake, my vitamins. It's really, really cool. So you can just make it exactly what you want so that it fits your lifestyle and your needs, and you can just hit that peak productivity. One thing that I have gotten better at over time is not just piling on just a massive list of important tasks that I need to do and think that I'm going to try and achieve that day. And this is something that I will cover in a more in-depth episode about productivity and time batching and how I plan out my day and the day ahead. But basically, I've learned over time that instead of writing out like 10 different to-dos and not necessarily prioritizing any of them, and then at the end of the day feeling like, oh, I only got half of them done, and like feeling disappointed in myself, instead, what I do is I look at my day and I look at my calendar, and I time batch, but I also block off time, and I block off the amount of time that I think is going to be necessary to complete that task. Sometimes it can take me 5 hours to write a blog post because it's going to be super in depth. It's going to take a long time to like round up all the links that I need. There's a lot of formatting that is necessary. I need to do some research for it. Like that's like a good chunk of my day. So if I put 10 things on my list, I'm not going to get anywhere near that done, and I'm just going to feel shitty about myself. But if I put, okay, I have 5 hours to write this blog post, I have an hour to post on social media and engage, and then I have 2 hours to do a photo shoot. Those are my 3 priorities for the day, and I focus on only those tasks during that allotted time. Then I knock off everything, all 3 of those things on my to-do list, and it's a much better feeling than frantically trying to squeeze more into a given day than is actually physically possible. So I kind of use a combination of, I really do like to write out those tasks in my Golden Coil planner, but then I also am putting them on my digital calendar so I can kind of like see when and where I'm going to be fitting them in. So that's just kind of a little tip. And like I said, we'll get into it in more detail in a future episode. And then from there, that's pretty much it. I head upstairs to my office and I get into my day. That whole morning routine takes me about an hour from start to finish. So I get up at 7:30 and I am done with all of that by 8:30, and I'm up in my office and ready to go and get to work. So that is my morning routine. I hope that it was helpful for anyone that's looking to incorporate some new ideas and things into their own morning routines. You know, ask yourself and think about how you want to feel, how you want to start your day, what's reasonable for you and for your life, and give some of these things a try if they sounded interesting to you, and give it a try for more than just a day or a week. Give it a try for a few weeks and see what resonates with you, what doesn't. Maybe you tweak something. If you do, I want to hear all about it. This is like my ultimate guide to setting myself up for a productive day, but I want to hear from you as well. Like, what do you like to do for your morning routines? Shoot me a DM. I'm at WTFab. I would love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this episode, like I said at the beginning of the show, if you could leave a review, that would be so amazing. And I can't wait to talk to you next week.